What's good, guys? It's your boy Word of Mouth back with another video recapping the NBA playoffs so far as we are almost to the NBA Finals. You know, after a very long and eventful season, a very long and eventful postseason, it seems like we are almost in the NBA Finals. However, we're not there just quite yet. We still have a couple games left in the conference finals that I'm going to talk about a little bit today in this video. However, before I get too deep in the video, make sure you leave a like on the video because I know you're going to enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you can watch my past videos and the videos that I drop after this. Content's not going to stop even when the finals are over. Still going to keep it coming, so just make sure you subscribe so you don't get left behind. But yeah. As of today, on May 28th, the conference finals are not looking good in terms of longevity. The Pacers are up 3-1 on the Knicks, and the Thunder are up 3-1 on the Timberwolves with the chance to close it out tonight at home. We're going to speak on that game because it's about to come up. For the Timberwolves, it's just not looking good. And the thing is, the Timberwolves, I wouldn't even say they've played bad. Last game, you got a pretty underwhelming Ant game, and you got a bad game from Julius Randle. Anthony Edwards couldn't find a jump shot. Julius Randle just couldn't get anything going, and he wasn't even out there on the court for the last couple of minutes in the fourth quarter. He was just out there for like a couple of seconds to get a rebound. However, the Timberwolves just couldn't do anything. They got him in game 3 with a little adjustment, with Jaden McDaniels playing like way lower and everybody just playing lower on screens and forcing Shea to shoot over the defense and things like that. Chess move by Finch. It worked. They got a game. It's 2-1. However, OKC comes out in game 4. They were prepared for it, and they took over. Shea had a remarkable game. He was 13 for 30 from the field, but he had 40 points, 10 rebounds, I think it was 10 rebounds and 9 assists. He had a phenomenal game. He was very impactful on the offensive side of the court, just making shots when they needed him to. 13 for 30. He didn't have the best field goal percentage. However, it's the playoffs. No one cares about your field goal percentage or anything like that. Just get the ball up there and just get us some points, especially when you're Shea, an MVP of the league. You have all of these things, coming behind you now, and you're looked at as one of the best players in the NBA and as the best player on this team. Stakes get a little bit different in the playoffs, and I thought he did really well in game 4 with just getting to his spots on the floor, making shots they needed him to make them. However, he wasn't even the focal point from the Thunder. You had Casey Wallace and Alex Caruso played really well, but Jalen Williams, your third team All-NBA, somebody who in these past couple hours has garnered a lot of very uncomfortable conversations, he played phenomenal. He played phenomenal, and a lot of people were, I don't want to say surprised, but kind of relieved at how great he was playing, because throughout these playoffs he had struggled. He struggled with finding his shot. The defense was always there, but just in terms of finding his shot, just in terms of being able to create offensively and be a positive on the offensive side of the floor, it wasn't looking good. And for the Thunder, this was kind of a situation to be in, because you had Lou Dort, who we know what he is offensively and how big of a detriment that has been to them throughout the postseason. And so that's why you have somebody like a Jalen Williams to come in, because he can give you the defensive impact that Lou Dort can give you. However, he can give you the impact that a Jalen Williams will give you offensively as well. In this game, we saw he had a monster game. He got a bunch of open looks, and he made them. Hey, if they give it to you, you got to make it. He made his open looks. He was able to create using his shots, whether it be the mid-range or whatever. And, yeah, he did phenomenal in this game. And he was a big reason why OKC was able to win and execute down the stretch. From Minnesota point of view, Minnesota has to be better. Not Minnesota. Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, they just have to be better. Anthony Edwards is now in the conversation, especially earlier in the playoffs where everybody was getting all this hype and stuff around him. Same thing with Shea. Ant, you're the best player on the team. You just got to figure things out. He's going to say he didn't have a bad game. He was making the right play. Sometimes passing the ball or passing the open man is not the right play. Sometimes whether that more aggressive version of you is better than a wide open jump shot from a Dante DiVincenzo or somebody. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what they needed down the stretch. But that's not what Ant gave them. You know what I'm saying? He was more so passing, looking to that name, get the ball to, and put in the best predicament, all of this. And granted, he did really good at that, but it's just not what you needed. However, the Thunder did a really good job at playing defense on him because they forced him into a lot of those decisions where in Ant's mind it's going to trigger him to be like, okay, I just need to figure out who to give this ball to because I can't do anything myself, which is technically the right play. However, sometimes you shooting that shot over a couple of dudes or going in that paint, getting fouled is a little bit better. There were a couple of times during the game where I saw Ant like kind of hesitate on the drive or anything like that. Or you can say he was just trying to pace and be really calculated when it's like Ant. Sometimes the best play is just you going downhill and drawing the foul or making the play, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. Just putting that internal pressure on the Thunder, and we just didn't, he didn't do that. Yeah, and then you have a Julius Randle stinker. And it's even bad because you had a good game from your role players. Nikhil played really well. Dante played really well. You have your role players play really well in this game. Even Rudy was actually a positive offensive player. But get down the stretch, your two best players aren't even, one of them isn't able to play and the other one can't shoot. And he's not really like able to make any plays on the ball. So, yeah. And I'm not going to lie, it's not really looking good for Minnesota. But I don't think this is speaking to how Minnesota has played this series. I don't think Minnesota has played bad this series outside of game one. Or game one, I forgot what game they got blown out. But I don't think they've played bad this series. I just think the OKC Thunder are just better than them. And they just have a more well-constructed roster. I don't think they've gotten out-coached. I don't think they've gotten outplayed. I just think they're outmatched. And the Thunder are just better. And they just have the personnel and the skill to be able to match up with them really well. And I think we're seeing that. And, like I said, props on getting that Game 3 win. And shoot, they could even win tonight. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what a Game 5 back against the wall Anthony Edwards is going to do tonight. We saw what he did in Game 3 back against the wall. So who knows? However, just as it is. I don't really see them winning the series. I had OKC winning in 6, I believe. And right now I'm going to stand true to that. So, yeah. Now, going to other series, the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knicks is a bit different. These teams are definitely way closer in terms of how good they are, how they match up against each other, than the Thunder and the Timberwolves. However, watching this series, you would not think that at all. And I think that is in large part due to the coaching discrepancy between the two teams. The Knicks, the way they run offense, the way they run their offenses is just very it's not very, it doesn't look like they have a real offensive scheme out there. You know what I'm saying? It kind of looks like they just looking at Jalen Brunson do something with the ball, or Carney Towns do something with the ball, or even sometimes Mikal Bridges, versus having real life plays being ran, certain players getting the ball, making certain decisions, and being put in certain places on the court. Doesn't look like that offensively. And of course, they have a slow pace, and they weren't one of the better. They were not one of the better half-court teams in the NBA this year. But they made this far in the playoffs because they were pretty decent. However, I think that's one thing that has really held them back in this series is their lack of ability to do things in the half court. Simple as that. And on top of that, the defense has been good all series. Despite Tyrese Halliburton, we'll get into him later, having one of the greatest games of all time. However, the Knicks are just defensively, they've been cool, but Rick Carlisle's just been picking them apart because Tom Thibodeau's been out coached when it comes to certain schemes and certain things that Rick Carlisle's doing with them on offense, whether it comes to certain ways he attacks Jalen Brunson when Jalen Brunson has the ball in his hands, or he attacks certain players on defense. Tibbs is getting out coached. It's simple. It's as simple as that. And that's one thing that I think we saw last game, with certain switches and certain matchup advantages. That's something we had seen. But I think it's more so Tibbs getting out coached than the Knicks being bad. Now, with that being said, the Knicks really have not looked like a team in the conference finals for a lot of this series. They've been allowed themselves to get down by a lot of points, and maybe they're like, oh, we're going to come back with it against the Celtics. Well, this isn't the Celtics, and this is the conference finals, and you shouldn't be comfortable with going down by so much. Throughout this playoff series, you can't allow yourself to get like that, get that comfortable thinking you can go down by a lot of points and still be able to come back. Sorry, brother, that's just not how it works. This is conference finals. They haven't really played with a certain level of intensity outside of Game 3. And yeah, it's definitely shown, in my opinion. Now, on to the Pacers side of things. Listen, Pascal played really well, taking advantage of his mismatches. Miles Turner has played really well. But I think we all know who the star of the Pacers has been. Or what some people are saying, superstar. And that is none other than Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton had a 32-point, I think like 10 rebound and 12 rebound, 15 assist game with no turnovers. That is an all-time performance that we have never seen before. Even with a Jokic, a LeBron, with all these players having been in the playoffs and been in the league for so long, Tyrese Halliburton is the first player ever to have a game like that. And you just seen it because I think he had dang near triple-double at halftime, but from the start, he was just picking the Knicks apart in every single way. He was pulling up, taking advantage of mismatches. And then sometimes he would get the switch. He wouldn't even be aggressive on the switch. He'd make sure he passed it down to a Pascal or a Miles Turner because they had the smaller side defender on them. And throughout the game, it was just a masterclass of Tyrese just being amazing. I mean, he's either creating a play for himself, making a tough basket, making a pull-up three, or making some impressive pass. And especially with the pace that he plays at and that the Pacers play at, it just makes it even more impressive. And it led to them winning the game. And that was the big reason why they won the game. And the big reason why more than likely they're going to end up making the finals. So, yeah. It was a devastating loss for the Knicks, though. You know, you win one at home because you have Karl-Anthony Towns. However, Karl-Anthony Towns had that 20-point fourth quarter. However, game 4, you just wet the bed. You know what I'm saying? You didn't really play so well. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think OKC is back at home. I could see them closing out tonight. However, I think the Timberwolves win because I did have Thunder in 6. So, hey. But I think that Pacers series just cooked. I think the Pacers probably take next game. They just look that much better than the Timberwolves. Than the Knicks, honestly. That's all I got. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, like I said earlier. Make sure you comment down below how you feel about what I said and how you feel the rest of these conference finals are going to go. And if you feel like it, preview the finals a little bit as well. That's all I have for now. And until next time, peace.